say they're deep divers. You know how we always talk about healing, like it's this magical thing? Well, get this. It's not magic, it's science.
It really is fascinating.
You send us this research paper, and it dives deep into why humans are hardwired to heal.
Yeah.
And not just physically, we're talking emotional stuff here.
Right.
Like why a comforting hand on your shoulder just works.
Mm-hmm.
Why we reach out when a friend's hurting. Why therapy in all its forms has been around for millennia.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Mm.
We take healing for granted, but this paper unpacks the evolutionary reasons why humans are wired to care for each other's emotional well-being.
Okay, so let's unpack this wired to care business.
Okay.
I mean, evolution is all about survival of the fittest, right?
Right.
So from a purely scientific standpoint, why would helping someone else be a good strategy for getting your genes into the next generation?
That's where it gets really interesting. The paper explains that cooperation itself boosts survival.
Okay.
It goes beyond just looking after your kin, which
Yeah.
seems obvious. It's about this amazing web of support that we've evolved to create.
Right, like protect the baby because it shares my DNA,
Wow.
but we see cooperation on a much larger scale.
Yeah,
We help friends, strangers, even donate to causes for people we'll never meet.
exactly. The paper digs into some fascinating concepts that explain this.
Okay.
One is reciprocal altruism. Think, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Right.
But on an evolutionary timescale.
Okay.
Another is fitness interdependence. The idea that when a group supports each other, everyone benefits in the long run,
Interesting.
making the entire group more likely to thrive.
So it's like even if I'm not directly related to someone, helping them out might mean they'll have my back later
Yeah.
or contribute to a society where I'm more likely to succeed. Kind of like good karma on a larger scale. doesn't it?
Precisely. And don't forget the emotional side of things.
Okay.
The paper highlights how our brains have evolved to make social connection a priority.
Right.
That fear of loneliness you feel, it's not just in your head. It's a powerful motivator to connect and cooperate. And on the flip side, the guilt and shame we feel when we break social bonds. Those are evolutionary tools to keep us in line.
It's like we're wired to be there for each other, both for our own well-being and the well-being of the group.
Exactly.
Here's what I find fascinating. Even empathy, which feels so personal and unique to us as humans, has these deep evolutionary roots.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
And this paper breaks empathy down into two key parts.
Okay.
The first is emotional contagion. You might know it as that almost instinctive mirroring of another person's emotions.
Right.
You know how babies cry when they hear other babies cry?
Yeah.
That's emotional contagion in action.
So basic, yet so powerful. But we don't just mimic emotions, we actually try to understand why someone feels the way they do.
Exactly. That's the second part. Cognitive perspective taking.
Okay.
It's a fancy way of saying we can put ourselves in someone else's shoes, imagine what it's like to be them.
Right.
And you need both the feeling and the understanding to be truly motivated to help someone who's struggling.
So let me see if I've got this right. I'm feeling sad because my friend is going through a breakup that's emotional contagion, right?
Exactly.
Then I try to imagine how tough it must be for her, given their history, etc. That's the cognitive perspective taking, urging me to bake her cookies and offer a shoulder to cry on.
And those cookies and that shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
Those are perfect examples of the consoling behaviors that the paper explores.
Mm-hmm.
These are the concrete actions we take to ease someone else's suffering.
Right.
They're the natural outcome of empathy in action.
So we've gone from monkeys grooming each other as a way to bond and comfort
Right.
to humans developing these complex emotions and actually taking concrete actions to help one another.
Exactly.
But at some point, we took this instinct for healing and built entire systems around it.
You got it.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
We went from grooming to, well, the entire history of human culture and healing practices.
And that's where things get really interesting. Time to talk about shamans.
It's fascinating how consistently shamanism pops up across cultures and throughout history.
Yeah.
This paper points to it as evidence of a universal human need to address suffering in a structured, ritualized way.
Okay.
It's not just about instinct anymore. It's about creating a shared experience around healing.
So it's not just about popping a pill. It's about the ritual, the shared belief,
Yeah.
the patient's investment in the process.
Exactly.
It's about the power of belief, kind of like how the placebo effect works.
There's definitely connection there.
Yeah.
This paper points out that shamanic healing, using symbols and rituals to, say, extract negative spirits,
Right.
shares a lot with modern therapy.
Yeah.
Think about it. Both rely on a shared understanding of the problem, a belief in the healer's ability.
Right.
and specific actions or rituals believed to bring about change.
So in a way, a therapist saying, let's unpack this feeling is like a shaman saying, we need to banish this evil spirit.
Exactly.
Both are trying to get at the root of the problem using the tools and beliefs of their culture. And that shared belief can be incredibly powerful, right?
Absolutely.
Go on.
The paper discusses the remarkable placebo effect, where even sugar pills can have a positive effect simply because of the context, the expectation,
Wow.
and the brain's own chemistry being influenced by the belief that healing is happening.
Wait, are you serious? Just the power of belief can create real physical changes?
It's true. There was one study where people with knee pain who underwent a simulated surgery,
Wow.
where they were led to believe they had the real procedure, experienced the same level of pain relief as those who actually had surgery.
No way.
Just think about how powerful our minds are. Our thoughts and beliefs can truly impact our physical well-being.
That is mind-blowing. It really shows how deeply connected our minds and bodies are, especially when it comes to healing.
Yeah.
But let's get real for a second.
Okay.
We live in a world with huge disparities in healthcare. Not everyone has access to modern medicine,
Right.
let alone therapy or, a good shaman.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
This deep dive isn't just some theoretical exploration of healing. The paper argues that understanding the evolutionary basis of healing, this idea that it's hardwired into us, can actually help make mental health care more effective and accessible worldwide.
So how do we take this from chimpanzee grooming to, like, fixing the global mental health crisis? How do we bridge that gap?
Well, the paper highlights something called in-group healers,
Okay.
which basically means healers who come from the same community or share similar experiences with the people they're helping.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
Right.
You're more likely to open up and feel understood
Mm-hmm.
by someone who gets where you're coming from, culturally, socially, all of that.
Right.
It reduces stigma and builds trust, which are so essential for healing.
Absolutely. Like, I'd probably feel a lot more comfortable talking to someone who understands the challenges specific to my generation or background.
Yeah.
But what about those situations where you don't feel comfortable talking to someone within your own circle,
Yeah.
Like, what if you're struggling with something you think your community might not accept and you crave that anonymity?
That's such an important point, and the paper addresses that too.
Okay.
It emphasizes the need for diverse options in mental health care,
Okay.
because sometimes out-group care can be incredibly beneficial.
Yeah.
Imagine someone struggling with something they feel their own community might judge them for.
Right.
Talking to someone outside that circle where anonymity is key can be a lifeline.
So it's like sometimes you need the comfort of shared experience, that in-group connection.
Right.
And sometimes you need a fresh perspective.
Exactly.
Someone completely removed from any preconceived notions about who you are or what you're going through.
Right.
It's about having options, right?
Exactly. And get this, the paper even talks about the potential of technology in providing that out-group care,
Okay.
specifically mentioning chatbots.
Wow.
Think about it. A chatbot wouldn't judge you based on your background, beliefs, or anything like that.
Right.
It could offer a safe, anonymous space to process difficult emotions and experiences without that fear of stigma.
That's a really fascinating idea. It speaks to how important it is to meet people where they're at,
Right.
Some people thrive in group settings.
Yeah.
Others need one-on-one support. And then there are those who find solace in the anonymity of technology.
Yeah.
The key takeaway here is that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to healing.
Absolutely. And here's another crucial point. The paper brings the well-being of the caregivers.
Right.
We've all heard of compassion fatigue, burnout, things like that.
Right.
Caring for others, while incredibly important and rewarding, can take a toll.
You're preaching to the choir. I've definitely experienced that feeling of emotional depletion after being there for someone going through a tough time.
Yeah.
It's like they say on airplanes, put on your own oxygen mask first.
Exactly. This paper emphasizes the importance of learning and teaching emotional self-regulation skills,
Right.
both for those receiving support and, crucially, for those giving it. It's about being there for someone without sacrificing your own well-being in the process.
It makes me think about building emotional resilience,
Yeah.
Like, how can we develop the skills and practices that allow us to navigate those challenging emotional waters without getting totally swept away?
You hit the nail on the head. The paper goes beyond just avoiding burnout.
Right.
It's about building resilience, the ability to bounce back from challenges, to cope with stress, in healthy, sustainable ways
Okay.
that benefits everyone involved.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from the evolutionary roots of empathy to the importance of culturally sensitive care, even the potential of chatbots.
It's a lot.
But what does this all mean for us, for our listeners? How can we take all of this fascinating research and actually apply it to our everyday lives?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And luckily, the paper offers some practical takeaways.
Okay, great.
For example, we can advocate for a more diverse mental health workforce,
Okay.
so people have more options and are more likely to find healers they truly connect with.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Representation matters.
absolutely.
And feeling seen and heard by someone who shares your background or experiences can make a world of difference in a therapeutic setting.
For sure.
What else?
Well, we can support peer-to-peer support programs,
Okay.
which harness the power of that in-group understanding we talked about.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful healing comes from connecting with those who've walked a similar path.
Right. Okay.
And on a more personal level, we can each strive to be more mindful of how we give and receive support.
Being mindful of our own emotional well-being and the well-being of those we care for.
Yes.
It's like you said earlier, building those emotional self-regulation muscles so we can show up for ourselves and each other in healthy, sustainable ways.
Exactly. Learning to recognize when we're approaching burnout, setting healthy boundaries, prioritizing self-care, these are all crucial aspects of creating a more sustainable and compassionate approach to caring for ourselves and others.
This has been eye-opening. It's like knowing that healing is this deep, ancient instinct, something
Yeah.
we're literally wired for, is incredibly empowering.
Right?
It gives us a new framework for approaching mental health, both for ourselves and for our communities.
It's a powerful reminder that we're all connected on this journey of healing. Helping each other isn't just a nice thing to do, it's woven into the very fabric of who we are as a species.
And that, deep divers, is a really beautiful thought to carry with us.
It is.
But wait, there's more. This paper didn't just stop at the why of healing, it delved into the how.
Really?
For example, it suggests looking beyond traditional talk therapy and exploring other avenues of healing that tap into our evolutionary heritage.
That's what I find so fascinating about this research. It's not just about understanding the past. It's about using that knowledge to create a better future for mental health care.
So what are some of these alternative approaches to healing that the paper suggests? I'm intrigued.
Well, one fascinating area it delves into is the power of physical touch. Remember, for our ancestors, grooming wasn't just about hygiene.
Right.
It was a primary way to show care, reduce stress, and strengthen social bonds.
Yeah.
This paper suggests that we might be overlooking the therapeutic potential of touch in modern mental health care.
That makes so much sense. We're not just brains floating around. We're physical beings living in a physical world.
Exactly.
Sometimes a hug can be more powerful than words, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about it. Those hugs, those moments of physical connection, tap into ancient pathways of comfort and reassurance.
Right.
The paper suggests exploring the potential of things like massage,
Yeah.
acupuncture,
Okay.
even collective movement like dance or yoga as part of a more holistic approach to mental health care.
It's like we've become so focused on the talking cure
Right.
that we've forgotten the power of these more primal forms of healing, the ones that have been with us since the beginning.
Precisely. It's not about replacing talk therapy,
Right.
but about recognizing that healing happens on multiple levels: emotional, mental, and physical.
I like that.
And speaking of tapping into our ancient heritage,
Yeah.
the paper also touches on the importance of language.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, the paper argues that the language we use to discuss mental health can either help or hinder someone's willingness to engage with care.
Okay.
It suggests that using culturally relevant terms and concepts,
Right.
rather than just sticking with Western diagnostic labels,
Yeah.
can make a huge difference.
So give me an example of what that might look like.
Sure, in some cultures, talking about depression might be stigmatizing or confusing,
Right.
but framing the same issues as thinking too much or a spiritual imbalance, phrases that resonate with that culture's worldview,
Okay.
could be much more effective in encouraging people to seek help.
It's about speaking the language of healing that people understand.
Yeah.
One that reflects their beliefs and lived experiences. It's not about dumbing things down. It's about meeting people where they're at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why this paper stresses the importance of incorporating traditional healing practices from diverse cultures into our understanding of mental health.
Right.
Many of these traditions have been addressing mental and emotional well-being for generations,
Right.
using approaches that might seem alternative to Western medicine,
Yeah.
but are deeply rooted in their own cultural understanding of healing.
That's fascinating.
There's a wealth of knowledge there that we can learn from.
It's about recognizing that healing isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
Right.
We need to respect and integrate the many different ways that cultures around the world have been caring for each other's mental well-being for centuries.
And that respect, that inclusivity,
Yeah.
that's really at the heart of creating a truly global approach to mental health care.
Okay.
One that acknowledges the shared evolutionary roots of healing.
Yeah.
This instinct we all share to care for one another,
Right.
but also embraces the beautiful tapestry of cultural expressions it has taken on.
So, deep divers, we've gone quite a journey today, haven't we?
We have. We've explored the fascinating interplay of evolution, biology, culture, and empathy to understand why we, as humans, are hardwired to heal.
It's incredible.
And we've learned that healing is not just about fixing what's broken.
Right.
It's about nurturing our shared humanity, strengthening those connections that help us thrive.
It's a powerful reminder that even amidst hardship and suffering, we have an incredible capacity for compassion,
Yeah.
for connection,
Right.
and ultimately for healing.
I love that.
And that's something worth celebrating.
It really is.
It is.
And on that note, a huge thank you to you, our amazing deep drivers, for sending in this thought-provoking research.
It's been a pleasure.
Remember, this journey of healing, both personal and collective, is ongoing.
Absolutely.
So the next time you reach out to comfort a friend or find yourself marveling at the resilience of the human spirit,
Yeah,
remember this conversation.
I will.
It's a testament to the power of connection, the wisdom of ancient traditions, and the boundless potential of human empathy.
Well said. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.